Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. It's done. The final briefing in the SEC v. Ripple case was filed last night. I'm going to share with you the latest from multiple attorneys within the XRP community, as well as commentary from Stuart Alderati, who of course is Ripple's top in-house lawyer, their chief legal officer. And I'll just tell you this at the outset, didn't go so well for the SEC. That's the general consensus that I'm seeing from attorneys that have reviewed this document. In fact, Attorney Hogan will give you specific words towards the beginning part of this video, and I actually got a number of comments from Attorney Jeremy Hogan. But he said that this SEC final argument, this final SEC brief in the Ripple lawsuit, basically went out with a whimper. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Shout out and credit to Attorney James K. Filan of the XRP community. Last night he shared this final briefing, and it's kind of a moment in time after this having begun over 3 years ago. My God, and so here you go, XRP community. Says the SEC has filed its redacted remedies reply brief and supporting exhibits. So here is what Stuart Alderati had to say, Ripple's chief legal officer. More of the same from the SEC, failing to faithfully apply the law and trying to pull the wool over the judge's eyes. The good news is that we are closer than ever to putting this lawsuit behind us, though unfortunately, many are just starting the journey. We trust the court will approach the remedies phase fairly. Yeah, so I will pause to note right here, although it is more of the same from the SEC in terms of them having absolutely no respect for the rule of law and obviously being completely ethically bankrupt. Despite that being the case, the good news is, at least for XRP holders, it's been over for some time. And for Ripple, they're almost at the end, although there is the virtual certainty of the appeals coming down the road. But that's not going to impact us as XRP holders. And so here we are as XRP holders going into a new bull run. We're as clear, we're as in the clear as we possibly could be from a legal perspective. But there are so many others out there who are just now beginning that legal fight. And it is interesting to see the market react the way they have. So many coins under assault now, with the obviously approach of choice now being go after exchanges and then claim that the coins that they're offering are in and of themselves securities rather than attack individual projects building on top of blockchains. So we're in the clear, but for everybody else, not everybody else, but for many coins, they are specifically cited by the SEC going into a bull run, and I hold a ton of those coins as well. So I'm glad that my largest individual crypto holding, XRP, totally in the clear in that regard, but I'm not happy that many of the other coins that I hold are under attack. And then Stuart Alderati also wrote, and just when you think the SEC can't sink any lower, if you are a financial regulator outside the US and have done the hard work of establishing comprehensive crypto licensing frameworks, know that the SEC has no respect for you and thinks you are handing out the equivalent of fishing licenses. And this is true. If you want to get proper licenses for whatever geographic region you're in outside of the United States, meaning, of course, the United States has no jurisdiction whatsoever. Even if you do that, the SEC thinks that you're doing something wrong. Look at what they wrote here. So here's a screen grab. This is what the SEC actually wrote. It is laughable. And they're claiming Ripple's position is absurd. So check this out. Ripple also assures the court it need not be worried about whether Ripple could again violate the U.S. securities laws by pointing to different licenses it has obtained from different jurisdictions, including those Ripple explains do not treat XRP sales as sales of securities. This argument, akin to saying a New York restaurant need not obtain a liquor license because it obtained a fishing license in California, is absurd. Now, folks, think about that argument. These things are completely unrelated and have nothing to do with one another. I'm just wondering, do they still think that Judge Torres is stupid? Do they think that Judge Torres is going to be like, oh, I hadn't thought about it like that? No, because Judge Torres is not a mouth breather. That's how the mouth breather would respond. Oh, fishing. Oh. No! You damn fools. What a bunch of pricks. Who is falling for this? Obviously, if you apply for licenses to do business in a different geographic region outside the United States, then anything having to do with what occurs in the United States licensing-wise is irrelevant. And so then to make this argument here, my God, what's it have? Fishing license? Alcohol? What? It's obviously a bunch of jibber-jabber, hoo-ha, and horse-pucky, but what else would you expect from these asshat pricks? You know, what would you expect? Here's what attorney Jeremy Hogan had to say. The Ripple v. SEC briefs are finished. And I think the SEC went out with a whimper here. It didn't even try to attack ODL sales, just noting that Ripple was trying to relitigate the issue, which it is, and it brought nothing new on damages. Just waiting for the judge now. So, so there were interesting things to be said, which I'm going to go back to, but his argument's not lost on me, which is that the SEC pretty weak sauce here. Not a whole lot of new points in terms of substance, but there are things that are laughable and offensive on their face, and more of that in just a second. But first, I want to share with you some additional commentary from attorney Hogan. Somebody wrote to him and said, "Are you still thinking around 100 million?" And so what he's referencing there is that attorney Hogan recently stated publicly that he thinks that the total penalties for Ripple in the SEC v. Ripple case will come out to about 100 million, or he said exactly $100 million, so presumably he'd think anywhere around there. Mind you, the SEC is seeking $2 billion, and Ripple argued that they should pay no more than $10 million. So 100 million, that leans way closer to Ripple's side. You know, if you think about the broad spectrum of 10 million to 2 billion, yeah. And so attorney Hogan responded and said, the judge has a lot of leeway on these things, and I think this judge is prone to compromise. So I just picked a number that seemed compromised to me, just guessing. And fair enough. Here's a post from somebody named Carol writing to attorney Hogan, said, what is generally a reasonable time for a judge to rule? And attorney Hogan said, I'll start watching out for a ruling in July, and we'll be like WTF in September. Okay, so there's the window. Hopefully you could see it as soon as July, but if we're getting at the end of September and there's nothing, WTF, mate, what's going on? Here's another question from Christian. How are you feeling about it all, Jeremy? Attorney Hogan says, very positive for Ripple. And here's one more. This is from XRP Panama. He said, Jeremy, why did it show Ripple's stablecoin announcement as Exhibit 1? Why mention that? And I have a screen grab, actually. You know, actually, let's just go ahead and pull this up first. This is a screen grab it was shared by Vet on social media platform X, from who by the way, is an XRP Ledger validator. And so the SEC actually brought this up. Now, mind you, you all know about Ripple's announcement. They're going to be launching a stablecoin later this year. Hasn't happened yet. Not a whole lot of specifics, but the SEC is already talking about it as though Ripple is doing something wrong or is about to do something wrong. That's the claim that they're making. Look at what's on your screen right now. It reads as follows. Ripple's primary business continues to be, as it has been since 2013, unregistered sales of XRP. It also plans to issue a new unregistered crypto asset. So all they said is that they're going to launch a stablecoin. Ripple didn't say anything about trying to register it, not trying to register it. Now, of course, if you're talking about registering with the SEC, as far as I know, literally impossible. But setting that aside, Ripple didn't comment on it. The SEC just decided to opine on that anyway, as if they had some special insight, but they do not. So again, if I'm the judge, it's just one of those facepalm moments. If I'm the judge, I'm like, oh my God, these douchebag pricks, do they think I'm stupid? And clearly, like, the fact that they keep saying obvious nonsense like this again and again and again, now they've been doing it for years. If I'm the judge, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm confident they definitely think I'm stupid, and I'd just be offended. Luckily, she's not stupid, though. So anyway, XRP Panama again said, why did it show Ripple's stablecoin announcement as Exhibit 1? Why mention that? And attorney Hogan says, they're trying to say Ripple is just going to play the same game with a different coin equals they are just trying to make an end run around the ruling. Yeah, so that's what they're trying to do, but is Judge Torres going to fall for that? I'm thinking probably not. Now I'm going to share with you a post from attorney James Murphy. aka Meta Lawman on social media platform X. But I do need to preface this real quickly because he mentions the Goville case, which I've talked about on this channel. Just super quick reminder of the relevant portion of that case and how it pertains to the SEC v. Ripple case. This is from Coin Paper. Ripple's chief legal officer, Stuart Alderati, has already highlighted the significance of the recent SEC v. Goville case. And I'll pause to note that this just came down like as if from the heavens at the end of 2023. It might have been in October, if memory serves anyway. This is such perfect timing for the remedies portion of this lawsuit. Anyway, piece continues. The court's decision in that case may prove advantageous for Ripple. The ruling stated that if there is no financial loss to the buyer, the SEC might not be entitled to disgorgement from the seller. This could form a cornerstone of Ripple's argument, emphasizing the absence of financial harm to XRP buyers and challenging the basis of the SEC's disgorgement claim. Okay, so that's the key piece. That's why this is important. Ripple's customers, literally none of them have been financially harmed. Zero of them. Zero. The SEC hasn't even asserted that it is indeed the case. That they didn't, at least that they didn't profit, right? And so the Goville case says, well, if there's not a financial loss to the buyer, then SEC looks like you're not entitled to anything from the seller, which means disgorgement argument go bye-bye based on this case precedent, which is binding precedent, by the way. So let's just hope it's interpreted properly. So Attorney Murphy, that's the reason I highlighted that, is because he references that in his post here. Here's what Attorney Murphy had to say. Update on Ripple damages. The SEC's reply brief does not add anything meaningful to the argument about no victims/no disgorgement. The SEC relies on one district court case, which is SEC v. iFresh, that held the pecuniary harm requirement is satisfied when a stock price is artificially inflated. The SEC reasons that any institutional buyer who received less of a discount on the XRP than others effectively paid an inflated price, hence pecuniary harm. And so, I'll just pause to note here, Ripple actually, at least in the past, would offer a discounted rate for XRP for purchasers. And so there would typically be lockups associated with it. So for instance, it could be, this is the price you'll get for XRP, but you can't sell for a year, something like that, which frequently, didn't really work out so well for anybody purchasing, because yeah, you get a discount, but if you did that during the, the bear market before we bought them, then you fast forward a year and, you're worse off financially and you couldn't sell it in the meantime. So there's that. But anyway, that was kind of the deal in a nutshell. Those types of things did happen here. And so then Attorney Murphy says, in my view, the iFresh decision is a misreading of the Second Circuit holding in Goville on disgorgement. And interestingly, the judge who wrote the iFresh decision designated it not for electronic or print publication. And so, just pause to note here, and there's a comment from Attorney Hogan on this actually in a second here, but that means the SEC did something that they were not supposed to do, and Attorney Murphy elaborates on this. Check this out. And I'm hoping that Judge Torres is not thrilled about this, because it sounds like she shouldn't be. Attorney Murphy says, while no longer the rule today, when I was a young lawyer, it was improper to cite a decision with a not-for-publication designation. It is the weakest possible authority for anything. Is it possible that Judge Torres goes with the iFresh reasoning and finds that the institutional investors in Ripple suffered pecuniary harm? Yes, it's possible, but not likely, in my opinion. And so here's another attorney that basically thinks that the SEC's final reply brief, it's pretty weak sauce. Actually, I'll go ahead and highlight what Attorney Hogan had to say right now in response to that. He said, James, I didn't see that in the iFresh decision until you just pointed it out. I've never done it before, but my understanding is that you have to request permission from the appellate court before citing to those cases. Hopefully the judge will catch that, since Ripple has no reply. So it looks like they broke an actual rule, according to Attorney Hogan here. Now, of course, Judge Torres, not stupid. She, I think she's going to sniff that one out. We'll see what happens. Now, here is a post from XRP community member Sherry, and I don't know if she's ever said if she's an attorney or not. It doesn't say on her profile, but I'm guessing yes, based on the degree to which she's insightful in the SEC v. Ripple case. And so Here, I'll make this screen grab full screen. So she wrote, the SEC argues that Ripple has misread the Govil case while ignoring Ahmed, that's a separate case, as the defendant's failure to disclose a conflict tainted the entire transaction. It is also the SEC's position that an investor can also suffer harm even though they'd profited. So that's right. This is what the SEC is now arguing, that even if you profited based on something that you purchased from Ripple, in this case, it'd be XRP, of course, even if you profited, you could have been harmed. I kid you not. That is the argument that they're making. Because if there's a special deal that was made between Ripple and other parties who aren't you, they got a better deal, and who knows, you should have been informed of that. So that's not good for you, and for some reason, even though you profited. I mean, I'm not buying this argument, are you? But so anyway, she shared this screen grab, and this is from the SEC again. Reads as follows: Ripple also misreads Govil as precluding disgorgement when the victim received the return that was contemplated. This argument ignores SEC v. Ahmed, which disgorged profits from certain deals even when the victim suffered no out-of-pocket losses and received the benefit of their bargain. Ahmed ruled the defendant's failure to disclose a conflict tainted the entire transaction. And so there you go. There's a tainted transaction because, in theory, Ripple's customers weren't all privy to what all of their other customers were being offered, which just seems absurd to me on its face. So, of course, I'm not an attorney, mind you. Just as a lay person here, thinking about this, I'm a business owner. Different customers get different deals for different reasons. It's typically pretty reasonable here, and I don't see how one customer getting a quote-unquote better deal should then result in another customer who profited in a completely different contract. I don't see how that should result in that customer then getting some sort of reward because of an SEC lawsuit. That just seems absurd to me. Just take that for what it's worth. I want to share with you what Attorney Bill Morgan had to say here too, and he has two sections to what he had to say on this case. The second section, that really honestly kind of deserves its own separate video, and this would go on way too long if I did cover it anyway, but it was more on the topic of what this means, the SEC v. Ripple case and whatever the final remedies portion of this entails, how that would impact on-demand liquidity and XRP specifically being used via on-demand liquidity. So I think I may just save that for a separate video, but the first section, which is at the top of your screen right here, I do want to run through this real quick. I always appreciate the insight from Attorney Morgan here, and he wrote the following. The SEC reply is quite interesting and in some respects on the injunction issue compelling. Number one, the issue of financial harm. This issue is relevant to whether there should be any disgorgement. This requires that there be some financial harm to institutional buyers of XRP from Ripple. The SEC reply brief does not add anything new to the argument about financial harm. The issue is whether financial harm extends to a situation where an institutional buyer makes a profit but could have sought more favorable terms and earned a larger profit. The SEC seeks a very broad definition of pecuniary harm and argues that Ripple too narrowly interprets financial harm. The SEC argument looks no more compelling in reply than it did initially. It points out that Ripple insisting on redacting the discounts shows the importance it would have to institutional buyers. And folks, I'll just pause to say, I don't buy that. I think they don't want that to be known publicly, broadly speaking. I think that their customers understand that different customers were getting different deals. I mean, think about this. I knew this over half a decade ago. Do you think Ripple's other customers were unaware of this? If I know this, I'm a dude on the internet. I'm not privy to anything special. They don't want it because Ripple should be and is protecting its proprietary information. It's none of our damn business. And then the SEC's making it out as though it's to hide it from their customers. Oh, shut the hell up with that nonsense. I just don't buy that crap. And then he wraps up by stating, I do not think disgorgement will be ordered, but the outcome is not obvious. This may be another appeal issue. Yeah, so we'll see how it shakes out, but that's the lowdown on what happened with this final reply brief here. And so across the board, I mean, I couldn't find an attorney that thought that this was some sort of, impressive performance from the SEC in really any capacity. So we're going to wait here. The next big news we get might just be a final ruling from Torres. And that'll be big. That'll be noteworthy here. Now, I still don't think it matters for XRP. I acknowledge XRP could run if people are going to behave irrationally, but it doesn't actually matter for XRP. Anybody that holds XRP, it doesn't matter what happens in the remedies portion here. It just doesn't. And I would argue it doesn't even as it pertains to on-demand liquidity, because as far as I can see, on-demand liquidity is protected outside of the United States. So even if corridors touching the United States can't use XRP, so what? XRP's doomed now? I just don't see the argument. But I'll go ahead and wrap up here because that's really a topic for a separate video. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.